Yo, what's up, friends? I am doing a little working open session here. I've been chatting about the possible new static website for dark matter, and I thought that I would kind of record some thoughts there. Looks like I'm pretty loud. Let me back that off a little bit. All right, cool. Um, yeah, so we're talking about having a new static website. We've got an existing website. Let me find that for you. It's fantastic. Best website ever. Dark matter dot consulting. All right. So when we first created dark matter a year or two ago, we said we needed a website. Here's an image from NASA. Here's some parallax scrolly stuff going on. We contracted this out to a local um, guy who was hanging out in the code shop space, and works fine. It's a WordPress site, and so we're kind of hosting it somewhere um, with our buddy Tony Vanderzanden in Portland. We never really did the blog, and so there's really kind of no reason to have this being a WordPress site. It's basically just a what do we do kind of thing. And I think in 2019, what we do will probably be changing a little bit. And so we might not be so specifically um, .NET Stack part of that. That's a different discussion. But anyway, let's talk about the website. We've got some stuff going on. Um, and one of the things that was interesting this year is I was part of the Open Eugene Festival. And so here's the Open Eugene Fest website. And this is kind of fun. This is Node and React. Um, and so this is all written from scratch. This isn't, or actually, there's no Node here at all. This is just React. It's a thing called Gatsby, and you can find this website online. It's an open source site, and if you go to the Open Eugene Festival web, um, you can go kind of check it all out. And so this one uh, is a good place to start because it tells you how to get started with Gatsby, which is the static site generator. And then you'll notice if you go up to this URL up here that it's Eugene Tech GitHub IO. This means hosted on GitHub pages, so that's free. And then a lot of these pages are data bound. So, for example, the sessions here, all this information is coming out of a database of sorts. And what that is I don't need to show it to you because it's boring. Right now we have Google Forms, and people can fill out a Google form, and then that manifests as a Google spreadsheet, and then the Google spreadsheet is exported as JSON, and then JSON is used during the uh, static site generation time, basically the build time, to build this stuff out. And so, like for example, that's how we get these leadership team people. There's a spreadsheet somewhere. We export it as JSON. We bind it to these React components, and that's the thing. So I was thinking it might be fun to uh, redo the dark matter site because it's so simple and nobody goes there. But maybe we should grow that ourselves because we are web developers after all. And so this Gatsby tutorial is a great way to get started. It just takes you through the whole installing Node, installing npm, all of these things, and so this is a really great tutorial to get started. And you can just go to gatsby.org to find out what's going on, or you can go to the Open Eugene Festival web, Gatsby up and running tutorial. Maybe I'll copy this into the Slack. I'm going to make a new website or a new channel for the Slack or for the website too. I made one, but I made it private, and that was kind of dumb. So uh, I'm just going to go ahead and make a new channel called Static Website. And some folks have uh, uh, expressed interest in doing this. Greg is helping us. He's kind of our Gatsby expert. Dan mentioned uh, maybe wanting to help out a little bit, and so we'll see. But anybody really can, check this out. Um, Chatting about the static web. So I'll create this channel and dump some links in here. Okay, so the getting started with Gatsby stuff will also get you started with Node. Another good thing, another great tool to use is VS Code. And so you should go here and get that as well. So this is kind of a departure from us a little bit because we usually use Visual Studio for everything. Visual Studio Code is a code editor, so it works better with things like Gatsby. And so to create what I've done is I've also gone into uh, GitHub and I've created a new repo for this one. We usually do our repos in Bitbucket, but I want to use GitHub because it's got that built-in um, GitHub hosting stuff. And so where did I put that? If I look in the dark matter, here it is, dark matter static website. If you want to be invited to that, uh, just star it or something. Let somebody know, and they'll get you invited. There's a couple of us on here already, collaborators. Dan and Greg are in there. Um, I think in there by default. Anywho, so um, what's going on? So once you get your node and everything set up, that'll take you like an hour or so. You get npm set up, and then you can do a thing called no. Sorry, I lost my whoop whoop. I'm gonna go back to that other one. I should star this one. And then if I go back here and look at Eugene Tech, go this one, go down here, and it tells you uh, this is how you, yeah, this is kind of how you get started if you already have a site. But how do you do npx? That's a typo. Let me fix that real quick. Okay, npm install Gatsby. That's not how you get started though. So if you go to Gatsby, you say getting started. I guess there's some recipes using unstructured data. That's probably a little bit much. Quick start. So npm install, you install the Gatsby CLI. We've done that. And so we're just going to create a new site. This is interesting. I'm going to do, and so it's talking about doing this all from the shell. So there's no file new project. There's nothing like that. And so when you're working in the shell, my favorite place to work in the shell is in VS Code. And then what I'll do is I'll open up a folder. And the folder I'm going to open up is, I already cloned this empty repo. dark matter static website. Images. And so um, this site's kind of fresh. So there's a terminal in here. And so when I start Visual Studio Code, what I've done is I've edited the properties um, on the shortcut itself, and to run as an administrator. And so um, you'll notice that when I start it, I do this. It gives me that crazy screen that you probably can't see because it's off screen. But it asks me what's going on. It asks me if I want to run it as administrator. And that helps with the terminal because sometimes um, you want to be running the terminal. So the default terminal in Visual Studio is PowerShell, and you can use PowerShell if you want, but I've been using Bash just because it's more, uh, Linuxy. Um, and so from there, like I can see, do I have npm installed? And indeed I do. And so, and I guess I could check and see if I've got Gatsby installed, but I know that I do, so I don't have to do that. And so what I can do is I can run Gatsby. And so how did I change the terminal? Somewhere here in the settings, there's like preferences, settings, and then if you go here, terminal, blah blah blah, you can figure out uh, like what terminal to use. And so I'm using this one. It's the bash that comes with Git. Um, you know, you can figure that out. You can also do most of this stuff from PowerShell, but PowerShell is just a little bit different. Most of the guidance you find online is not for PowerShell, so it's easier to be in Bash. So let's just go ahead and create a new site. I'm not going to call it Gatsby site. So I'm already inside a repo. And so I've got a repo started. It's got a README file on it. And sometimes it's nice to, you know, put the site uh, just like one step down, maybe. I don't know. I don't. Can I just do Gatsby new and it'll do it in the root in the root here? Do I want to do it in the root? I don't know. It's so hard to know. Let's see if it'll see what it does if I do Gatsby new. Oh, well, oh, I see. It exists and it's not an empty directory, so it's not going to really let me do that. I feel like I should be able to do that. I'm just going to put it in a. Let me take a look at the other. Um, let me take a look at the Open Eugene Festival web and see how that is structured. And see, they're just right off the root there. They're doing stuff. Man, I feel like I don't know. I feel like that's probably the best way to do it. So, how would I get around that? I guess what I would do is I would go destroy that folder. So, Open Eugene, nope, dark matter static website. Probably good to get out of here. I'm just gonna delete that. Dark matter static website is gone. And then so what I'm gonna do over here in Visual Studio Code, it will get confused probably because the folder was no longer there. So let's open a folder. I'll just open my code folder. And then in the terminal, I'm going to do Gatsby new, and I'm going to call it the dark matter static web. Hmm, I know what it's. Oh, I see. It's going a little crazy. It's going a little crazy because it's trying to, Visual Studio Code is trying to check out my whole code folder, which will be like zillions of things. So that was probably a mistake. So here goes Gatsby and installing all these Node packages. If you haven't used Node before, this is the part where you're going to say, oh my God, what is it even doing? And why is there a zillion files? Well, welcome to modern web development. This is Node, and it's a complete mess right now. Um, yeah, it just is what it is. And so React is framework for doing front end stuff. And I don't even think we're installing Node here, really. We just use Node to get NPM and all this stuff. And so here's all of this. All these packages are coming down that are, um, just strictly for supporting the website, the client side, the front end, just the HTML, JavaScript, all that stuff. So, um, if you're used to doing ASP.NET pages, this is going to seem like an awful lot of goo and detritus and uh, just dependency hell. But that's kind of what's happened in JavaScript world. Open source packages get popular. They're all dependent upon each other. And so there's, you can see 1,551 packages, are coming down to support this very simple website. And I think it's, we're using Gatsby. And so there's a lot of goodness in there. It does a lot of things for us. It does things like resizing images automatically, and it's got GraphQL built in so you can get to site data. And there's just a lot of cool stuff going on in there. And so it's a small price to pay. And everybody else is doing it, so we should do it too. Here's 1,700 dependencies to link, so we can hold on to that, or we can wait on that. While we're doing that, let me show you what's going on over at Airtable. And so I'm new to Airtable. Um, uh, some people think I'm a late adopter. Some people haven't heard of it before. And what Airtable is I guess in the simplest uh, case, you could think of it as access in the cloud. But what I did is I set up a base, call it a database if you want. We're on the free tier, and so what this is a website, and you can take a look at the sitemap. I copied this from a template, so it's got a bunch of stuff that we don't care about, but there is an About Us page, and so basically this is a sitemap, and so we can just get rid of a bunch of stuff here. So if we looked at this, if we looked at the existing dark matter consulting site, we could see it says about, specialties, blog, contact. And so we can go over to our thing here, and there's an about, and we'll call it about us, or just about. And services, specialties. I can't even spell specialties. Wow, is that an image? That's crazy. Inspect element. Yeah, and all that does is, I'm just trying to get this value out of here. Copy inner HTML. And anywho, and so you can kind of see uh, there's some stuff we could do here if we wanted to. And so our specialties are, what are they? They're not design and marketing. They're modern web, mobile apps, legacy, APIs. And so modern web, mobile, legacy, APIs. I won't bore you with this, but basically we've got a sitemap to pull from. So if we wanted to, um, I'm just deleting some records. They look like they're in the way because we don't really do hosting. I don't know that we have a social strategy. Anywho, this is looking more like our stuff. And so we've got our story, uh, and then we've got crew. I don't know why these pages are marked as completed. Nothing's really completed. So anywho, it's probably because it's like this. So if I go look at this, and oh, I see all of these are completed. Page completed. Little checkbox. Anyway, so we can say that these aren't completed. There's probably a faster way to do this. This looks like really slow, but I won't do this for you. Anyway, let's go. Meanwhile, back in Code World, look, we've got um, we've got some Gatsby stuff, and it looks like Gatsby's got a new version, 248. I don't care, not today. And so we can now we can open up that folder in my code folder, dark matter static web. And you can see it's got a bunch of files, and then it's got some source folders in here that have pages, and these are JavaScript pages. And so this is all React stuff. And you notice that the coloring came in. If you don't have the React component loaded, you'll get a box down here, or the React plugin loaded, you'll get a box down here that says like, would you like to install the React plugin? Or extension rather. And there's a bunch of uh, things. Uh, React is one of them. Anyway, I won't go into too many details, but just respond favorably to that prompt, and you'll get all this syntax highlighting. I'm not going to explain what React is. Basically, it's HTML inside of JavaScript. And so it's all about templates and stuff. And so when the static site gets generated, it'll run these templates and do stuff. And then if I wanted to run this, I would say Gatsby develop. And what it'll do is like it'll build the app, and then I should launch it in the browser as well. Don't get a ton of, there we go, successful loading plugins. Now it is doing stuff. And hopefully, if everything goes right, it'll be able to launch the site in a second. again, the build time on this is longer than uh, uh, than what you're probably used to on the ASP.NET side of things. It just is what it is. It's doing more work. So nice. So I can click on this thing and it will launch it. And I think Node is running on localhost 8000. And there you go. That's the Gatsby starter kit. And so we have a page 2. Doesn't really do anything, but this will give you a starting point, and then you can see what's going on. If you've gotten this far, you know that you've installed all your tools and that you're able to uh, get the repo. And so I'm going to push this default site up to GitHub, and we'll be able to do that. So if you were looking at the page, you'd notice that there was an index page. This is the one that says Hi People. There's a image tag in here. You notice that it's uppercase. This means that it's a component. And so if you go over here, you can see image.js and it says image. And so it's doing something with GraphQL. That's a good entry point to start getting your GraphQL stuff going. And then this is the JavaScript for page 2, and that's all it is basically some HTML. And there you have it. And so all the pages will be in here as JavaScript pages when they get built out. Um, they'll get built. And I think this public, yeah. Anyway, we'll learn more about this. There's a cache that probably doesn't need to be checked in, so I'll do some uh, magic in Git to make sure that we don't get that cache in there. We'll get some. Uh, we don't need the node modules checked in either. So hopefully there is a git ignore. And so when you take a look at this, it's already done a bunch of stuff for you. And so that's nice. So we probably won't get those files that I've just been talking about. Yep, right, like node modules. And so that's cool. So it did a bunch of stuff for us. I'm going to push this up to the repo. And thanks for watching. That's getting started with Gatsby.